Have you ever wondered why some people in their 60s or even 70s are still full of life? Taking morning walks, tending their gardens, lifting their grandkids with steady arms, while others begin to decline rapidly, often before they even reach 80? It's a question that haunts not only medical professionals like myself, but also families around the world. And the truth is, this decline isn't just a natural part of aging, as we've been led to believe. What we often see after age 75 is not merely the result of age, it's the outcome of silent forces, overlooked warning signs, daily habits, and seemingly small choices that accumulate and slowly erode our physical and mental vitality. I've spent over 25 years studying the aging process, and I can say this with confidence. Much of what causes this late-life decline is preventable. Take the case of David, a 78-year-old retired biology teacher I met in Florida. He was once active and disciplined, but just 2 years into retirement, he found himself too weak to climb stairs. No major illness, no accidents. But the truth was clear. The silent killers had been at work, weakening his muscles, his blood flow, and even his sense of purpose. And that's what we're going to uncover today. We're not here to scare you. We're here to help you wake up, to see more clearly, more compassionately, what 4 everyday habits might be quietly stealing years of strength, dignity, and joy from older adults. These aren't mysterious medical riddles. They're things you can start changing today, with your breakfast, your rest, your walk around the block. Studies from Harvard and Mayo Clinic confirm a powerful link between physical and mental health. After age 60, when the body weakens, the mind tends to follow, leading to fatigue, low motivation, even depression. But the good news? It doesn't have to be this way. You don't need expensive equipment, you don't need to overhaul your entire lifestyle overnight, but you do need to know where to begin. And this video may just be that starting point. If this message speaks to you or someone you love, I encourage you to click subscribe and turn on the notification bell. That way you won't miss out on practical senior health tips designed with you in mind. If you've made it this far, type 1 in the comments so I know you want more content like this. If not, type 0 and let me know how we can do better, because we're here to support you, not to preach. Now let's move forward and take a closer look at what may truly be standing in the way of your strongest, most joyful years. As we begin to understand what might be quietly stealing the strength and joy from our later years, there's one factor that almost no blood test can detect. Yet it's just as dangerous as chronic disease, and it begins not in the body, but in the space between people. Disconnection. In today's world, we often talk about heart health, mobility, memory, but we rarely talk about what happens when someone loses meaningful human connection. And yet, the science is clear. Prolonged loneliness and social isolation can be just as damaging to the body as smoking a pack of cigarettes a day. That's not poetic exaggeration. It's a clinical reality, confirmed by researchers at institutions like Brigham Young University and the CDC. After the age of 60, the structure of daily life starts to change. Children move out. Old friends pass away or drift apart. Work no longer provides structure or social interaction. And slowly, often without noticing, many older adults begin spending more and more time alone. I once worked with a man named Edward, a 74-year-old former train conductor. After his wife passed and his children moved out of state, he found his days growing quieter. At first it felt like peace, he told me, but after a while, the silence started to feel heavy. What began as one day without a call turned into weeks. His appetite declined. So did his motivation to leave the house. When he eventually came in for a checkup, his blood pressure was rising, his immune markers were off, and he was sleeping poorly. He wasn't sick in the traditional sense, but his health was unraveling from within. You see, loneliness isn't just an emotional state, it activates real physiological responses. It increases cortisol, the body's main stress hormone. It weakens immune function, accelerates inflammation, and places stress on the heart and blood vessels. Over time, this raises the risk of hypertension, cardiovascular disease, cognitive decline, and even dementia. But the deeper danger lies beyond the medical. It's the spiritual erosion of meaning and belonging. We are social beings by design. Our need to be seen, heard, and valued does not fade with age. In fact, it intensifies. Human connection reminds us that we matter, that we belong, and that we still have a role in the rhythm of life. When that connection fades, a person's sense of purpose can fade with it. And without purpose, the will to thrive often slips away. So what can we do? Here's the empowering truth. Rebuilding connection doesn't require a miracle. It starts with something as simple as a weekly phone call, joining a walking group, attending a community gathering, or volunteering at a local library or church. Even sending a letter to an old friend can reignite that spark of belonging. Don't need dozens of new friends. You just need one or two people who genuinely care, and the courage to take the first step toward them. Because here's what the research shows. No supplement, no diet, no exercise routine can replace the deep, healing nourishment that comes from being connected to others. It is a medicine for the soul, and one of the strongest predictors of longevity, vitality, and resilience in later life. Now let's move forward, because even when social connections are strong, another threat continues to silently chip away at the body's strength. It's not emotional, it's not social, it's physical, and it robs millions of older adults of their balance, energy, and independence every day without warning. Even with strong social bonds, the body faces another silent adversary, one that works from within day after day and often goes unnoticed until it's too late. It's not loneliness this time. It's something much more tangible. The slow deterioration caused by physical inactivity. After the age of 60, the human body begins to shift in subtle but profound ways. Muscles shrink, bones lose density, joints tighten, energy levels taper off. Many people assume these are just the natural effects of aging. But the truth is, much of this decline stems not from time itself, but from the absence of movement. The body was designed to move, and when it doesn't, it begins to deteriorate, quietly, consistently, and sometimes irreversibly. I once worked with Margaret, a retired school librarian in her late 70s. She walked every morning and believed that was enough. But over time, she noticed climbing stairs became harder. Getting up from the couch took more effort. Her balance began to falter. It wasn't until she slipped one afternoon in her kitchen that she realized how fragile she had become. Her muscle loss had crept up slowly, masked by routine but accelerated by inaction. What Margaret didn't know, what many older adults still don't realize, is that walking alone, while healthy, isn't enough to preserve the type of strength that keeps us independent. The condition is called sarcopenia, and it affects nearly everyone over 60 to some degree. And the less you move, the faster it progresses. But muscle isn't just about looking strong, it's about function. Rising from a chair, carrying groceries, climbing steps, avoiding a fall. When your leg muscles weaken, your balance falters. When your core loses strength, posture collapses. And when upper body strength declines, even basic tasks become exhausting. Worse still, once weakness sets in, decline can accelerate rapidly. A single fall, a brief hospitalization, or even a week in bed can launch a downward spiral from which many never fully recover. But here's the hope. Muscle loss can be reversed at any age. Clinical studies from Tufts University and the National Institute on Aging have shown that even people in their 80s and 90s can regain strength, improve balance, and restore energy through simple, consistent resistance-based exercise. And no, it doesn't require a gym membership or expensive equipment. Chair squats, gentle resistance band exercises, light arm raises, standing from a seated position multiple times. These functional movements stimulate muscle fibers and restore neuromuscular pathways. Just 10-15 minutes a day, done consistently, can significantly improve physical capacity. The key is consistency. Your body responds to what you do regularly, The more you challenge it, safely and gradually, the more it strengthens. And with greater strength comes greater independence, greater dignity, less reliance on others for basic needs. Because in the end, strength isn't just physical, it's emotional. It's a statement. I'm still capable. I still have control over my life. Now let's move forward. Because even with movement, even with meaningful relationships, there's another danger. One that's deceptively small but incredibly powerful. It's not in your steps or your posture. It's on your plate. Because even the strongest legs can falter if they're not fed the right fuel. Even with movement and muscle preservation, there's another powerful force shaping our aging process. One that begins every time we sit down to eat. And yet it's often ignored, minimized, or misunderstood. After 60, food becomes more than fuel. It becomes frontline medicine. But too many older adults are unknowingly starving the very systems they rely on for strength, clarity, and vitality. Not out of neglect, but because habits shift, appetite changes, and convenience often replaces intention. Skipping a few meals here, grabbing a packaged snack there. Over time, these small patterns can lead to major nutritional gaps that drain energy, weaken muscle, cloud thinking, and leave the body vulnerable. Let me tell you about James, a 76-year-old former mechanic. Strong hands, sharp mind. But in recent years, he'd started losing weight, felt fatigued all day, and became forgetful. He wasn't sick, at least not in any obvious way. But after a nutritional assessment, it turned out he was deficient in several key nutrients, including protein, vitamin D, and B12. His meals were simple: toast and coffee in the morning, canned soup for lunch, and crackers or cereal for dinner. Easy, familiar, but also dangerously empty. Here's the truth. As we age, our caloric needs may decrease, but our nutritional needs do not. In fact, they often increase. The body needs more high-quality protein to fight muscle loss. It needs more fiber to keep digestion on track, and it demands more vitamins and minerals like magnesium, potassium, vitamin D, and B12 to support heart rhythm, bone density, neurological clarity, and energy production. But here's the catch. Older adults often eat what's easy, not what's necessary. Highly processed foods like sugary cereals, low-fat crackers, canned soups, and white bread can seem harmless. But over time, they deplete the very systems you depend on to stay active and independent. One of the most overlooked deficiencies in seniors is protein. Without enough, the muscles you've worked a lifetime to build begin to dissolve. That affects everything, from balance and metabolism to immune resilience and daily function. Add to that the common but silent problem of chronic dehydration. Many seniors simply don't drink enough water. Dehydration can increase confusion, fatigue, and stress on the kidneys, heart, and brain. On top of that, the body naturally produces fewer digestive enzymes with age, making it harder to extract nutrients from the food you do eat. That's why quality matters just as much as quantity. Whole eggs, sardines, dark leafy greens, Greek yogurt, beans, nuts, and plenty of water. These aren't trendy superfoods, they're foundational medicine. And while supplements can help, they should never replace real whole food. You don't need a PhD in nutrition to eat well. You just need awareness. Small shifts, like adding a boiled egg to breakfast, swapping soda for filtered water, or trading white toast for a handful of pistachios, can lead to major improvements. Eating right isn't about dieting. It's about giving your body what it's quietly begging for every single day. When you do, your body thanks you. With more energy, better balance, clearer thoughts, and stronger muscles. Now let's move forward. Because even with strong muscles and a nourished body, there's one more silent threat that can unravel everything. It doesn't enter through your plate or your joints, but through your mind. And if left unchecked, it can quietly rob you of clarity, purpose, and the very sense of who you are. Even when the body is strong and the diet is sound, there's one final pillar of health that often collapses quietly, and long before anyone realizes. It's not physical. It's not nutritional. It's mental. The brain, much like the body, needs challenge to stay alive. It needs novelty, stimulation, and engagement to grow. But in the absence of those things, it begins to slow, not all at once, but gradually, subtly. Many older adults chalk it up to just getting older. But that's a dangerous myth. Cognitive decline is not inevitable. But mental inertia, the quiet fading of thought, purpose, and creativity, is real, and it's widespread. It often begins with harmless signs: shorter attention spans, mild forgetfulness, a loss of enthusiasm for things that once brought joy. Left unchecked, these symptoms can accelerate, leading to deeper cognitive loss. And what many don't realize is that the brain is not fixed. It's plastic, always adapting. But it only grows when it's challenged. After retirement, many seniors find themselves with more time, but far less mental stimulation. Routines become repetitive. Days blur together. Television and passive browsing replace problem-solving and discovery. And that quiet stillness in the brain becomes the first step toward cognitive decline. I think of Linda, an 81-year-old retired art teacher. After her husband passed, she fell into a routine of watching daytime television and rarely leaving the house. Over time, she became forgetful, emotionally flat, and withdrawn. It wasn't until her granddaughter visited and began teaching her to use a tablet for painting that something shifted. Within weeks, Linda was asking questions again, smiling, remembering things. Her spark hadn't disappeared, it had simply gone unchallenged. Cognitive decline isn't just about memory. It affects decision-making, problem-solving, emotional regulation, and even the desire to connect with others. And once the mind slows, it often brings with it a cascade of helplessness, frustration, and depression. Physicians who work with seniors often warn, when the mind dulls, independence is at risk. Tasks like managing finances, keeping appointments, even cooking safely, become increasingly difficult, leading to a smaller, more dependent, and more isolated life. But here's the hope. Mental strength can be rebuilt. The brain responds to effort. Just like muscles grow with resistance, the mind sharpens with stimulation. Reading new books, solving puzzles, learning a language, writing in a journal, engaging in thoughtful conversations, listening to educational podcasts, starting a new hobby, or revisiting a forgotten passion. These don't just preserve brain function, they ignite it. The key isn't doing something complicated. It's doing something different, breaking the routine, giving the mind something new to think about, and doing it regularly. Studies from the Alzheimer's Association and Stanford University show that consistent cognitive stimulation delays the onset of dementia, improves mood, and increases life satisfaction. And perhaps most importantly, it rekindles purpose, one of the most powerful drivers of healthy aging. Because when the mind remains sharp, the spirit stays alive. And when your spirit is strong, everything else follows. Now let's move forward. Because beneath all four causes we've explored, disconnection, inactivity, poor nutrition, and mental stagnation, there is one deeper truth, a mindset that quietly separates those who survive aging from those who thrive beyond it. And once you understand that truth, everything can change. So far, we've explored the four quiet forces that often steal vitality in later life: disconnection, inactivity, poor nutrition, and mental stagnation. But beneath all of them lies a deeper truth, one that doesn't show up in lab tests, one that can't be prescribed. It's the mindset that determines not how long you live, but how well. We tend to celebrate longevity in numbers, how close someone is to 90 or 100, how many candles are on the cake. But years alone don't define a life. The true victory is not just in living longer, it's in living fully, with clarity in your mind, strength in your body, and peace in your heart. Too often, people over 60 carry an invisible fear, not just of illness, but of fading, of losing independence, of becoming irrelevant, of being forgotten. But here's what's often overlooked. So much of that fear can be transformed through the daily choices you make. Not radical ones, but simple, intentional ones. Quality of life isn't a matter of luck. It's a reflection of how you care for your body, your relationships, your purpose, and your mindset, day by day. It also depends on whether you believe your best years are behind you or still ahead. There's a dangerous myth that aging means enduring decline, shrinking your world, losing energy, and fading into the background. But that idea couldn't be further from the truth. The human body is remarkably adaptable. Even in your 70s, 80s, or 90s, muscles can still grow, the brain can still rewire, and joy can still be found in learning, laughter, and new connection. Take Arthur, an 84-year-old widower I once worked with. After years of living in quiet routine, he joined a community gardening group, not for fitness, not for therapy, just for something different. Within weeks, his posture changed. His voice was stronger. He told me, "It's the first time I felt useful in a long time." That's the difference purpose makes. That's vitality. It's never too late to feel alive again. And what separates those who merely survive from those who truly thrive isn't just physical health, it's emotional engagement. It's waking up with a reason. It's reaching out to others. It's stepping outside, even slowly, to feel the sun, the breeze, the laughter of life. And no, this isn't about perfection. You don't need to eat like a nutritionist, exercise like an athlete, or become someone you're not. What matters is staying curious, staying connected, and staying committed to living with purpose. A meaningful life is built from small, ordinary moments: a shared meal, a thoughtful walk, a kind word, a favorite song. They may seem simple, but they are the very foundation of a vibrant life. So as you reflect on the road ahead, ask yourself not just how many years you want to live, but how you want to live them. Because your story isn't over. In fact, the most powerful chapters may still be waiting to be written. So here we are, standing at the threshold of what could be your most meaningful chapter yet. We've looked honestly at what holds so many people back after 60. The slow drain of disconnection, the physical toll of inactivity, the silent erosion caused by poor nutrition, the quiet fading of mental engagement. And finally, we've spoken about the truth that often goes unspoken, that longevity without quality is not the goal. Living fully is. But now comes the most important part. What you choose to do next. You don't have to become someone else overnight. You don't need to fix everything at once. You simply need to begin, right where you are. Maybe today you send a message to someone you've lost touch with. Or you take a 10-minute walk with no distractions. Maybe you add a few almonds to your breakfast, pick up a book you've been curious about, or pause long enough to reflect on what truly matters to you. This stage of life isn't a decline, it's a shift. A shift toward living with greater intention, greater self-awareness, and greater freedom. Your experience matters, your story matters, and the way you choose to move forward, even in small ways, shapes your future more than any number ever could. So, let me ask you, what's one thing you learned today that you're willing to try this week? Share it in the comments below. I'd love to hear it, and so would others walking this same journey with you. Your insight might be the exact encouragement someone else needs. If you found value in this video, please consider giving it a like. And if you haven't yet, hit subscribe and turn on the bell icon so you never miss a future tip that's been thoughtfully created for you. No pressure, just a gentle reminder that you're part of something here. Thank you for watching. Stay curious, stay connected, and keep writing your story with strength, grace, and purpose.